Everybody, JayC here with another live stream, and we've got a lot to talk about in the world of action figures. Sorry about that. Everybody, JayC here with another live stream, and we've got a lot to talk about in the world of action figures. All right, that's weird. Sorry about that. All right. Sorry, I forgot to turn the volume down on my iPad. So anyway, a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. So, and we've also got a figure in the review studio. Oh, sorry, I forgot to turn the volume down. All right, hold on a second. So anyway, a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. So, and we've also got a figure in the review studio. All right. Apparently, the screen was playing. It's not a live stream without technical difficulties, right? Anyway, so as I was saying, we've got a lot to discuss tonight, and in the review, I've got the new Christopher Reeve Superman figure, so we're going to be taking a look at that and doing some comparisons. Compare it with the Hot Toys version and the NECA Toys version, and a few others as well. So we'll get to that in a little bit, though. But let's see who is in the house. So we've got Blake. Blake is in the house. What's up, my man? Matthew, Toy Bandit, the Krang Rebellion. Looks like we got a pretty full house tonight. Rainbow Rare, Sky, butcher that one. Scott, we'll just go with Sky Collector. Michael, Asan 17, classic action figure. Bullwinkle 80. Rakeem is in the house. So again, it looks like we've got a full house. Chase, what's up? Neil, what's up, my man? Lord Venger. Stephen McCann. Cool. Great to see everybody here. So probably most of you, I'm gathering, are probably here for to talk Marvel Legends. But let's before we get into the Marvel Legends stuff, let's I mean, a lot of stuff happened this week. In all honesty, we got some Masters of the Universe Masterverse figure reveals. We got some listings for McFarlane Toys, Disney figures. McFarlane's doing Disney figures. We've got Green Lantern figure. Hal Jordan Green Lantern looks like it's coming for the DC Multiverse line. So just a lot of stuff. Looks like Hasbro is going to be doing Fortnite figures. They sprung that one on us this week during their investor meeting. So I don't know how many of you guys out there actually collect Fortnite figures. For me personally, I'm not really into them, but it seems like there was quite a few people who were really digging like the Jazzware stuff. I kind of felt like Jazzware, like it started out with McFarlane. McFarlane was the first one to start doing the Fortnite stuff, and you know, those were pretty good. But then Jazzwares came along with their 6-inch figures that seemed to have more accessories and stuff, and so it seemed like people that were into the Fortnite were really kind of looking at more at collecting the Jazzware stuff than the McFarlane. I might be wrong, but that was kind of my impression. So I don't really think, you know, even before this Hasbro news, I kind of felt like McFarlane was winding down their 7-inch Fortnite figures. You know, we weren't really seeing a lot of new announcements or anything from them on the Fortnite front. But, you know, the news definitely surprised me on the Jazzwares front, because, you know, that seemed to be one of their bigger action figure lines was Fortnite. Now, it's still not clear to me whether Jazzwares might continue to do their 4-inch figures, since the Hasbro license, as Hasbro tells me, does not include anything below 6-inch figures. So I could conceivably see Jazzwares continuing their 4-inch figures. I've tried, I've reached out to Jazzwares to see if I could get word on from them on the status of their Fortnite figures, but I have not yet heard back. Companies are a lot faster to respond when they're announcing new licenses as opposed to responding when the word is that they've lost a license. What's up, 554? Matthew. Blake says Fortnite did the best G.I. Joe Firefly. Yeah, I've been debating whether I should pick that one up. I've seen it on Amazon for a pretty cheap price. I'm interested to know if like the Firefly head sculpt on the G.I. Joe classified figure will fit on the Fortnite figure. I don't know if anyone's tried switching those out. Classic action figure brings up the new G.I. Joe TV series featuring Lady J. That was another announcement that Hasbro laid on us this week during their investor thing. A live action series. I don't know. I guess we'll have to see who they cast as G.I. Joe. I mean, I was not, Lady J's character in the movies was not really that Lady J to me, so I don't know. I'll have to wait until I see more on that before I really know. I mean, it's going to be on Amazon, so I'll definitely check it out when it becomes available. But I mean, to me, the best thing about news like that is even if it's completely crappy, the more exposure, the more entertainment exposure that G.I. Joe gets, whether it's movies, whether it's TV shows, what have you, the better it is overall, just because that means it's a greater likelihood that retailers will carry G.I. Joe in greater numbers. So, like I said, even if this Lady J series turns out to be complete crap, I'm still for it just because it'll increase the likelihood that stores will continue and maybe even increase the number of G.I. Joe figures they carry, going forward. Everett wants a Bela Lugosi Dracula. Well, NECA is really this week we got yesterday they announced they're doing American Werewolf in London. So we'll flip over. Let me switch you guys over to the alternate screen. So let's just scroll down. So before we get to the American Werewolf in London, we got this news on Friday from DC about these Zack Snyder pop Funko Pop figures for the Justice League movie. Now, I don't know, probably most of you here are not really that much into Funko Pop, but to me, the thing is these are going to be made available next week, and so to me that's kind of an indication that Warner Brothers is greenlighting, companies that are doing figures and stuff to start showing them off. So hopefully that means next week we will get the official reveal from McFarlane Toys for those Snyder cut Justice League figures. And of course, we got news, rumor. I'm treating this totally as a rumor at this point till we get a little more firmer confirmation. But supposedly there's a reboot Superman movie in the works. But going back to NECA Toys, so they announced that they are doing. So they announced yesterday that they're doing the American Werewolf in London wolf figure. I don't know if they're going to do any of the human characters or like trans. It'd be cool if they did like a figure of, the human character as they're transforming into the wolf. That was one of the kind of coolest things I remember about that movie when I saw it, and my mom took me to that movie when I was a kid, so she took me to a lot of like movies like Aliens and stuff like that when I was a kid. Oh, and new Terminator animated series that's in the works. But besides the American Werewolf in London, they also teased earlier in the week. They teased that they are going to be doing a Wolfman figure. So for their classic monster line. So, what's up, X? Everett wants to know if we're getting Lon Chaney Jr. I don't know. I I'm not super familiar with the how those monster licenses break down. So I don't I which classic monsters fall into the license that NECA can do. I'm not entirely sure. So far, they've teased Frankenstein, they've teased Wolfman, and they've teased the Mummy. So I'm sure there's some version of Dracula that they can do, but like I'm not sure exactly which ones are which classic Draculas are available to them. Matthew, yep, it's crazy world with the DC no gun policy and now Hasbro with potato head gender neutral. So first, okay, the potato head thing, you got it's marketing, all right? People who are getting bent out of shape over that, it's ridiculous. It is a marketing ploy, in my view at least. It's a marketing ploy on Hasbro's part by simply the potato head itself is not changing anything. You can still have your Mr. Potato Head or whatever you want, but because by them taking off the word Mr. in the name, they know that that's going to grab them national headlines, and they did. Every national media outlet, including like CNN and Fox News and all of those, covered that story simply because they knew it was going to piss off a lot of people, and then also other people, that they would be happy. Hasbro can claim they're more inclusive, gender equality and all that, and then but it just gives them a ton of free press. But see it for what it is, marketing. That's all. So I don't know. People getting upset about it, I think, are stupid. I mean, I personally think taking the name off the Mister off the potato head is pointless. But again, I see it for what it is, so it's not like I'm going to sit there and get all mad and angry about it. There's plenty of other things in the world to get upset about. Chase Williams, I want a good Kevin Smith universe action figure or action figures. I'm not. I mean, Diamond Select, if you mean like based on the Kevin Smith movies, I mean Diamond Select Toys has been they've been doing Kevin Smith and Jay and Silent Bob action figures. I guess they haven't really done any of the other characters from any of the Kevin Smith movies, but they've done a number of Kevin Smith, as Jay and Silent Bob, uh, in the past couple of years. CM Brock, who in the world is checking for Mr. Potato Head? Again, it's marketing. It is just marketing. And it worked too, because again, every media outlet covered it. And the reason why the media outlets are covering it is because it creates drama. And drama creates views, eyeballs, clicks, So the media wants you to get all pissed and mad and everything, but it's a stupid game, and I wish people would quit playing it. Everett, what about the creature from the Black Lagoon? Yeah, again, Everett, I'm just not enough of an expert on where all those different classic creatures and monsters, what licenses they fall under. So I really don't. I know NECA had obtained a license for you know, a, a couple of different, I think, classic monster, based on classic monster movies and stuff like the old Dracula and stuff. So but I don't know. They're gonna keep teasing stuff, so we'll just see. I mean, there's the Universal monsters, but which obviously it seems like NECA's doing, but they also there was some other license that they obtained. They announced uh, a while back that included some classic monster characters like Dracula and stuff. Thoughts on the new Masters of the Universe figures, classic action figures. So yeah, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on the reveals this week from Mattel. I'm pulling it up here so we can take a look at it in case you haven't seen it. So pop back over. So if you missed it this week, so Mattel, like Hasbro, had an investor day thing where they live streamed it. I had to laugh because they showed these images, which of course people grabbed and posted all online when it was live. But then when they posted up, like, you know, these virtual things, they put up later on to watch as just a regular video. And I noticed when they put the Mattel one, when Mattel put theirs up, they blanked out the images of the He-Man figures, like everyone hadn't already seen them. But so this one's based on, and I don't even know if this is technically the toys, but I would imagine this. You know, this looks like a digital render, but this is based on the second He-Man cartoon, not to be mistaken with the Kevin Smith one. This one's going to be CGI. That Battle Cat looks pretty weird. That He-Man looks a lot like, kind of reminds me of the 2000X He-Man, but that Battle Cat looks weird to me. But these are supposed to be Masterverse figures, and you know, whether these are actually based on the new Kevin Smith series, that's the going assumption, but we don't know that 100%. But those all look pretty good to me. You know, we don't have super high detailed images yet, but overall, you know, I'm thinking these look pretty solid. You know, I don't like this look for Evelyn with the long white hair, but you know, she's got the alternate, more classic looking Evelyn, and you know, she's got her magic wand staff thing, so I definitely like that. Skeletor's got his Havoc staff, and then I'm not sure what this is, this weird looking staff here. And then He-Man's got his power sword, of course. Now, besides those came from Mattel, but then we also got a look at these Skeletor figures. So it wasn't entirely, you know, this came from an overseas retailer, and I know you can't see it super good here, but this is a Skeletor figure that I think is like a deluxe figure with the horns. And then you can see they also, this overseas detail, this Battle Cat, this is the same Battle Cat that Mattel showed, only you can see that the helmet is off. So that tells me that this place actually was able to obtain actual images from Mattel somehow. And so that tells me that the Skeletor figure should be pretty legit. So even though we can't see it really good, you know, I do think that's a real image. So now, to me, I'm going to pop over here so give you a better look at the Skeletor. So to me, this really looks more like the Skeletor from the DC comic book series, Eternia War. So I don't know if, you know, again, to me it's unclear whether this line, this Masterverse line, is all going to be based on the Kevin Smith universe, you know, the animated series on Netflix, or whether it's going to be a mix of, you know, from all the different cartoons and the comic books and things like that. Masterverse kind of, to me, sounds like it's an encompassing line that would cover everything. So, you know, I really think, well, some of these might be, you know, from the new Kevin Smith series. I'm thinking that there are definitely going to be figures in this line that maybe are not part of the actual Kevin Smith series. So I don't know if that Skeletor is actually, you know, if they just stole the design from the comic books, or whether this figure that we're seeing is actually based on the DC comic book series. What's up, Henry? Yep, that is the Lawmaker, the Mezco 112 Judge Dredd with Lawmaker in the back. Ninja Knight, when will the figures go up for pre-order drop? I don't know, because I mean, probably not till later in the year, till we get. We still really haven't gotten an official release date on like the Kevin Smith on either one of these Netflix shows. So, I think a lot will depend on when the shows are set to release. And I've heard everything from the summer to the end of the year. So I don't know, but being that like Mattel, so those initial images technically came from Mattel, but then as I mentioned, they blacked them out so that I guess they thought people wouldn't see it. So that says to me they're not even really ready to officially, to the general public, be showing these figures off. So um, we may be still several months away before these go up for pre-order, at least officially. Obviously, some of these overseas retailers, often put stuff up for pre-order before anyone else does. But here in the United States, we could still be months off, and the figures themselves probably won't be out until later in the year. Hopefully, hopefully they'll end up being starting out as a general release. Hopefully they won't pull like an Origins deal and make them like Walmart exclusives for months and months, before they let everyone else start to carry them. Tim, please consider doing timestamps like Fush does with their video timelines. Well, Tim, I understand your point, but you got to understand, like, first of all, I think Push only does one news video a week. I do usually two, three, sometimes even more. They're not that long of videos, they're about 15 minutes. So hopefully you're going to watch the whole video. I really hope you watch the entire videos so you can get all the news. There's a lot, usually I try and pack them with quite a bit of, decent news. But if you want to fast forward, you can just pull your mouse cursor across and scan, and when you see images of whatever it is you're interested in, you just stop it. It's not. I don't think it's that hard for you guys to really find the content that I'm talking about if you're not interested in watching a whole video. But I'm doing like 50 million things, and I'm trying to get these news videos up for you guys. I don't just do YouTube videos, and so for me to have to sit down and go, okay, this, I'm talking about this at this time and this at this time. I mean, that's just added things that takes away from me doing other things. And so I'll look at that because I've seen, I don't know if it was you who was mentioning that, but at the same time, like I said, the videos are only, if it's like a video that's like hours long, I doing timestamps, like when I did, going back to when I did the Todd McFarlane interview, and that thing was like over an hour long, then I can, doing timestamps for really long videos like that makes sense. But when we're talking about a 15-minute video or so, and that's the average between 15 and 30, it's just, to me, between A, hopefully you're going to listen to the whole thing, and then B, even if you're not, taking your cursor and scanning across the bottom, fast forwarding it until you get to where you want, it's not that difficult. So um, just, it's hard enough sometimes for me, when I'm trying to get the news up on the websites, I'm trying to get the news up on YouTube, I'm trying to get the news up, Robo is one of several people who work on Fwoosh, and he maybe has more time for that. And again, I think they only do one news video a week over on their channel. So um, again, I'm not totally ruling out that possibility, but just understand that it's probably easier for you to fast forward through a video than it is for me to sit there and try and time mark every different news bit. And I get you. I'm not getting mad at you or anything like that for suggesting it. It's a good suggestion. I'm trying to explain why I haven't done that up until now, because of those reasons. But I mean, it's something I've noted, and I always welcome feedback. So no worries there. Michael, I still want to know if there will be a Black Series Boba Fett from The Mandalorian. Well, Mike, I don't have anything. I can't sit here and say definitively. I don't have any. I haven't seen any info, but you know there's going to be a Black Series Boba Fett from the Mandalorian, from the Boba Fett series. We're probably going to get, I mean, we're going to get, you know, we're at some point we're going to get Boba Fett in his black robes, and then we're going to get the Boba Fett armor all scratched up, and then we're going to get the Boba Fett armor all cleaned up. And then if the armor looks at all different in the Boba Fett series, we'll get a version of that. So you know those figures are coming. It's a given. I don't know when, but you know those figures are going to be coming from Hasbro, and probably both for the vintage collection and for the Black Series. So I would not worry about getting your hands on Mandalorian versions of Boba Fett coming down the pike. Tom, is the Kingpin in the spotlight tonight? I have mine hanging on the wall. Well, because we are going to be talking about some Spider-Man retro Marvel Legend figures here, so that's the main reason. I wasn't really planning on talking about the Kingpin specifically, but I like to switch up the, you know, something there in the backdrop just to keep you guys looking. Daniel C. What's the likelihood of Hasbro fixing the colors on the Dormammu head before or after release? Thanks. I would say probably not very high. It would probably depend on how far along they are in the process, but usually by the time we're seeing official PR pictures like we did the other week, that means it's pretty far along in the process. So I won't say it's impossible. More likely, they would just do another version down the road that has the updated colors. But I don't think there's, at this point, a strong possibility they would update. Maybe if there was just this huge outcry of people. Salome is joining us, everybody. But maybe, but I mean, so like, I don't know how many of you collect the Transformers, but you know, there's been some hubbub in the Transformer collecting community over the Unicron figure because Hasbro, um, the pictures that Hasbro initially released on the Unicron figure, the one they did for Haslab, and the final product differ a bit, which is not unusual. That's why they always put the little disclaimer that final product may change and stuff. And I know Ninja Cat, who was on here, was talking about it on his own channel. And like, and I don't have the images handy, but like I know in his planet mode, the mall, you know, where the, you know, the opening in the middle is supposed to be, I think, like a solid color. And I personally kind of like the multicolor that they went with on the final product. It may not be completely cartoon movie accurate, but I kind of like the multicolor on that. Now, on the face, the bottom portion of the jaw in the initial images was all silver, and then I think in the final product it was not silver, it was like a dark blue or something, and that I don't like as much. I did like the head sculpt better on the version. Now where Hasbro, where I don't really fault Hasbro for making changes for whatever reason, whether it's costs or what have you. Where I would probably fault Hasbro in the case of the Unicron is that being it was a Kickstarter, they should have given people a heads up. They really haven't. I don't even think they've actually really addressed it. Uh, you know, the only reason we kind of know of the changes is because people overseas started getting their Unicrons early, and of course started posting pictures and reviews and things like that. And so that's really how we got our first look at it. But I do feel like under those circumstances where, you know, people were, it was a crowdsourced thing, they should have given people a heads up that had crowdsourced it. And then, you know, if I don't expect them to make changes to the Unicron at this point, you know, it is too far along, and they're not, and something that big and massive, they're not going to, you know, some of you collect Power Rangers may recall that Hasbro, where there was a screw up in the factory, I think is where it was. And so with the Walgreens exclusive figure, the head sculpt got messed up, or the paint ups or something along those lines, and so they ended up offering people a free head sculpt. And if I had to guess, because I think that was a mess up on the factory's part, the factory probably ended up eating the cost on that. But I don't see them doing something like that with the Unicron. So But if somebody, if the changes really bothered, who got the Unicron, if those changes bothered somebody so badly that they felt they didn't want it anymore, then I certainly think Hasbro should allow them to cancel their order without any issue or hassle. But I don't, at the same time, for something, I don't really expect them to make changes um, to the figure. But I would, as far as calling Hasbro out on that, I would say that they probably should have notified people who had crowdsourced it, letting them know about the changes, so that if they wanted to cancel the order, they would have the opportunity to do so. CM Brock, same thing with the McFarlane Kickstarter. Well, the McFarlane Kickstarter, I mean, it wasn't paint apps, right? You're talking about, I mean, people were pissed about the chest joint, and that's because in one of Todd's videos, he said they were going to try and do a certain type of articulation, and then they didn't. Um, and again, I can understand them not going that route, but and in Todd's, if I remember correctly, in Todd's case, he at least did a video letting people know what was what. Now, if people were, I don't know, I didn't hear of anybody who tried to cancel their Kickstarter and then wasn't able to or anything like that. But again, in that case, if somebody was so peeved about the changes, then they should have been able to cancel the Kickstarter without any issue. But in Todd's case, while I know people weren't happy with with the final chest joint that they ended up going with, Todd basically did put out a video announcing that this was what you were going to get, before the product actually started shipping out and stuff. Blake Blade Runner Haslab isn't crowdsourcing, it's pre-order. Well, it is crowdsourcing. It's their, I mean, you're right. But there's really not a big difference between pre-orders and crowdsourcing in general. But I mean, but technically all the Haslab stuff does fall under essentially a crowdsourcing type model. Um, I think most things that are crowdsourced today, it is treated much more like a pre-order essentially, than an actual crowdsourcing. My feeling is always that there's very little chance when we're talking about these major companies doing these crowdsourcing type things. There's very little chance that they're not going to go forward with the project, at the stage that we're starting to see it and hear about it. If they've already done all the production models and all that stuff, they're going to go forward with it. So sometimes they do the crowdsourcing simply because they don't think they can get it out in retail, and so this is their way of essentially doing a made to order. But technically, I still consider it crowdsourcing. Just like I consider the Super 7 Thunder Tank essentially a form of crowdsourcing. It's going to go through no matter, in my view. There's no chance, in my view, that it's not going to go through. But they have said that, essentially there was an indication by Brian Flynn that if they didn't get a certain number of orders, they would, in fact, not go forward with it. Tech Uncaged. I wonder what changes the Sentinel is going to have without them telling us. I don't know. And they've been pretty quiet. Like, I don't think we've gotten a single update on that Sentinel since it was successfully funded. Have they? I at least haven't gotten any emails about any kind of updates. Like with usually with the others, they'll send out you know progress updates and stuff, but they've been pretty silent on that Sentinel. I still don't know where the hell I'm gonna put that Unicron when it comes. I'll be honest. The thing I was most disappointed about with the Unicron was the packaging. Like the packaging on most of the modern day Transformer stuff is odd. Like the artwork is so incredible and stuff. And so I was hoping for something similar with the Unicron, and the Unicron's really just kind of a very blah looking big giant cardboard box. So I was kind of looking forward to better packaging than what they gave us on Unicron. Not that I wasn't going to open my Unicron, but like I actually display, you can't see it, and I'm not going to turn the camera, but I actually display some of the Transformer boxes around the room just because I think the artwork, like the Omega Supreme and the Predaking boxes, I just and the Skyfire box and stuff. I think the artwork on the Transformer packaging with the bigger stuff. I mean, even the smaller stuff, but with the bigger stuff, I think it's some of the coolest packaging that any company is doing these days. Let's see. Besides Marvel Legends, what other toy lines? Is there anything out there? Henry G says I almost ordered Unicron from Robot Kingdom for 1,500 because I passed on the original Haslab. That's a hefty price tag, man. And then with Robot Kingdom, you've got to pay international shipping, and that can be pretty hefty too. Robot Kingdom, even though I have seen them raising prices on some things, usually actually gives you a fairly solid price on stuff, but then you end up having to pay a fair amount on shipping. All right, well, let's head over to the review studio and let's take a look at the new Mezco Christopher Reeve Superman figure. So I'm gonna switch you guys over. I'm gonna walk over there. Okay, so I've got a new setup here for the review studio for these live streams, so hopefully this is looking pretty good to you. So the Christopher Reeve Superman, I'm not going to do a full-on review or anything of the figure. I mainly just kind of want to do some comparisons with some of the other Christopher Reeve figures that we've gotten. So first of all, cool that we got this base that lights up, mimicking his Fortress of Solitude. And let me move the camera down a little bit. And I'll cut some lights so you can see the light up feature. There we go. So definitely I like that. Though I will say that with things like this, while the light up feature is cool, being it's battery powered and it takes three AAA batteries, you can't, I mean, it's not like you can leave this on for any long period of time without the batteries going dead fairly soon. I wish I wish companies when they did stuff like this made things like bases like this light up. I wish they would include like an AC port so that you could like plug in. I actually really like, and I'm gonna show you this here. Um, the DC collectibles, and I'm gonna cut the lights because I want to show you how I got this set up. So what they did with their Batcave. So I don't know how well the lighting is going to work here. But see, I keep my Batcave lit all the time because they created there's a way to plug in. Technically it's battery powered, but there's actually a port where if you have like an AC adapter, you can plug it in. And so that's what I did with my Batcave so that I can keep it lit all the time without having to constantly changing batteries. So as cool as this is with the light up base, it would be cool if there was a way to keep it plugged in so that you weren't having to switch out the batteries and stuff. Just something minor, but so we got the Superman here. Now overall, not too bad. The joints do kind of, with the skin tight suit, do kind of stick out kind of badly in certain areas. Actually, sorry, that's the NECA Christopher Reeve Superman. All right, so like here you can see these joints that kind of stick out through his outfit. But the face, the head sculpt, I don't think is too bad. Focus in here. And of course he comes with two other head sculpts, so let me pull those out. So I don't know. These are probably, I'm not sure which out of the, I don't like the smiling one that much, but sorry. But I kind of like the smirking one. But comparing it to like the NECA one, I don't know. The NECA one is actually, it's delicate. You do have to be careful with the NECA one, or it can break fairly easy. But I kind of like the NECA one. I guess though, to be fair to Mezco, the Mezco one, the face sculpt is a little more, looks a little more like Christopher Reeve. And then we've got the Hot Toys one. Sorry, I'm trying to keep them both in the same frame. Now the Hot Toys one, I don't know, they're pretty. I like the Hot Toys one, a bit better. Of course, the Hot Toys one does cost more. We have the Mattel one, the 4-inch Mattel one. This actually is not a bad figure. This was part of their 4-inch DC Multiverse line that they were doing. And then this is, I think, the first Superman figure I ever had. And this is the old Toy Biz. I don't know, technically this probably isn't meant to be Christopher Reeve. Kind of is. But, so, if I had to choose one overall, though, I think the NECA one is probably my favorite. The outfit on the Mezco one, it doesn't look as good to me. The head sculpt I think is probably a little bit better than the NECA one, but I just don't like the way the outfit looks. His shorts to me look a little off. It's not to say it's a bad figure. It's just, if I'm picking my favorite, I think I would go with the NECA one. Though honestly, this is my favorite just because, like I said, this was my very first Superman figure. All right, let me know which one you guys like the best. But I'm gonna go with NECA. NECA overall wins today. I would say Mezco's head sculpt is a little better than the NECA's, but overall, I like the look of the NECA one. But let me know which one you guys like the best, and I'm gonna walk back over to the main station. All right, so let's see. I couldn't really read your guys' comments while I was over there. The Krang Rebellion says rumor has it that Cavill's in the running for Bond. I hadn't heard that, but actually, maybe I did hear it. I don't think there was any real basis of truth on that rumor, but I mean, you hear different rumors. Bond's going to be a woman. Bond's going to be a black guy. Bond's going to be, you know. Osmond says he still needs the NECA one. Yeah, to me, the only real downside to the NECA one is you do have to be very gentle with it. I've seen a lot of people who had issues with theirs breaking, and honestly, I don't move mine around a lot, so because I'm always a little scared that I'm gonna break it. So that is the downside to the Kenner one, or to the NECA one. Christina, no, we have not really talked about Marvel Legends yet, so you're still in time. Prophet 924 likes the NECA one. Blade Runner. If that Toy Biz Soups has that leg squeeze punch gimmick, I own the same thing some 35 years ago. No, I don't think that one has. No, that one doesn't have. This is the first one that Toy Biz did. This is the first Superman figure that Toy Biz did for the 5-inch line. Part of their like superpowers line or whatever you want to call it. I didn't collect that line in detail, but I have that one and I have the Michael Keaton Batman figure. And those are the original ones that I bought back when they originally came out. Toy Bandit says NECA Soups. John Estrada, Superman's definitely is going to be a black guy, according to J.J. Abrams. I mean, I've heard the rumors, but I don't think there's anything. I don't care what skin color is. I'm, you know, just that they're rebooting Superman again to me is annoying. You know, again, you know, I'm not going to go into a DC universe rant, but I'm so tired of them rebooting their characters. Chris says, I have the NECA one and terrified to move those joints. Yeah, I mean, I did a review of it back in the day, and I moved the joints. But yes, I don't sit there and go, ooh, you know, because like, like they released a bunch of DC figures, like the Heath Ledger Joker, and mine just like fell apart in my hand. Um, like the leg fell off, and that one was horrible. That was like, I mean, I know NECA gets a lot of shit for their figures breaking, but those batch of DC figures back when they did this Christopher Reeve one, I mean, that was probably at their all-time worst when stuff was breaking, and literally, like, you look at it, you looked at that Joker figure wrong, and it fell apart. Chris Allen says the Mayfex Superman's awesome. The Jim Lee one, yeah, that one looked pretty good. I don't have it, but it looks pretty good. Ivan says he prefers watching the new CW Superman show. I caught that this week, the 2 hour premiere. I thought it was actually pretty good. Um, I do worry a little bit that maybe they're going to focus too much on the kids over Superman himself, but overall, I was pretty happy with the season premiere of that show. So I definitely going to keep checking it out. Lord Venger, what's the cost of the new soup? So I think it's sold out, but I want to say it was in the neighborhood of $80, but I don't know. I think at this point, if you haven't gotten one, you probably would have to go to the secondary market. I might be wrong. You might check someplace like Big Bad, see if they still have any in stock. But I don't think they're available at regular cost. Chris says, can't wait for the 112 Collective 89 Batman. Yeah, I've got that one on pre-order as well, so I'm looking forward to that one. I did not get the, was it SH Figure Arts version? That one ended up not looking as good as I was hoping, so I did not end up getting that one. Nestor says, NECA's Defenders of the Earth figures have their joints so tight that they are breaking easily. Well, I mean, I think it's pretty much a given with any NECA figure. You should like get the blow dryer on it before you try moving it. So, or put it in hot water. I always go with the blow dryer, but some people do the hot water thing. Chris Allen, well, when I get my Mezco 89 Batman, I have the NECA one, so I'll just like I did with the Superman, I'll do some type of comparison. We'll take a look at them. I have a feel if the NECA one ends up looking as good as like their promo images did, or I should say, if the Mezco one ends up looking as good as their promo images for their 89 Batman did, then I have a feeling that the Mezco one is going to look better than the NECA one. But what's up, Shaggy? But we'll have to see if the final product actually ends up looking as good as their promotional images. Neil says he rarely has to get a blow dryer out for the NECA figures. Well, you're in a you must be getting special figures or something, man. Because I mean, I'm not saying you have to blow dry them every single figure, but I'm saying it's probably a good precaution to take because generally the joints do tend to be tight or they have paint that sticks or whatever. Who's hyped for Batman Beyond from Target? I have that one. I went on and I debated, but I like the Target one better than the non-Target one. Even though the non-Target one is probably more, it's more in keeping with the cartoon. But I like the look of the Target one, so I ended up pre-ordering that one from Target. Lewis Cox, will Super 7 get all the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle toy license? I'm not sure what you mean, but they're not gonna get it. I mean, Playmates Toys is still the master toy license holder, and will continue to do whenever there's a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cartoon announced. Playmates will do figures for that, and then I don't think NECA's losing the license that they have anytime soon. So NECA's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle license, I think, basically says. I don't know if they're actually limited to, but their figures are supposedly based on the old toy designs. Hey Ivan, yeah, we did talk about the werewolf, the both the American Werewolf in London figure and the classic Wolfman figure that they tease. So yeah, we have talked about those. Nestor says that werewolf looks beautiful. Awesome movie as well. Yeah, as I had mentioned earlier, my mom, I was a kid when that movie first came out, The American Werewolf in London. So my mom and dad took me to that movie, see that movie when I was a kid, and it was definitely a pretty. I thought it was a pretty cool movie. I mean, I'm not a huge monster horror fan in general, but that one was definitely, I thought, a pretty cool movie, and for the time, yeah, those special effects are actually really good. Now I was listening to some actual people who work in the toy industry and have worked in Hollywood and stuff. And there's actually been some debate on whether that face sculpt for that werewolf figure is actually movie accurate. And I guess it's some are saying that it's not 100% movie accurate, but there's also been debate that getting an actual visual from the actual movie is pretty difficult for the werewolf. So Max, we haven't gotten to Marvel Legends yet, but we'll be talking about that here soon. Jose, I have no idea when the Destro 112 collective figure is going to go up for pre-order. Sometimes, they go up pre-order pretty soon after they announce them, and sometimes Mezco takes months and months before they actually put something up for pre-order. So we'll have to wait and see. Like, I don't expect at the absolute most I would see maybe Mezco putting out two GI Joe figures a year tops, and like even this year probably just the Destro. So we're not gonna see. This isn't gonna be like where they're gonna crank out a ton and ton of GI Joe characters. It's gonna take them a long time, and who knows how they're gonna break it down. John says in the movie it looks more like a bear than a wolf. It does. I mean, it doesn't look like your typical werewolf, but I don't think it looked like a bear. But I think the coolest thing was how they actually showed the transformation when in his mouth. Like I remember as a kid watching that and like watching as like his mouth, his face like grew out and everything. It was really the transformation process from when he would go from human to the werewolf that was really kind of like for that time I think was really kind of unique and made that movie so kind of like special and stand out from like other werewolf movies and stuff. Ivan, yeah, the creator of Soda, and he went and actually took picture. He went because it was so difficult for him to find um like actual images of the werewolf in the movie, like to give that they need to be able to make an authentic looking toy or whatever. So he actually went and took pictures. Like I guess he knew the guy who actually had the werewolf uh, model or whatever that was used in the movie, and he actually took his own pictures for that. Mike, I'm surprised McFarlane hasn't done Swamp Thing. Seems like it would be down his alley. I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't. I mean, I'm not surprised he hasn't done it because Swamp Thing's not Batman, but I could see them doing a Swamp Thing figure sometime down the road. All right, so let's switch over to talking Marvel Legends. So switch you back over to the other screen. So if you were on Marvelous News today, you might have caught this news. So JT Prime, who's pretty well known in the collecting community for gathering up scoops of finding retail listings of figures and stuff. So he sent me word of these three figures, which are retro carded Spider-Man figures. So according to him, black costume Spider-Man, Webman, which is essentially this inverted colored Spider-Man, or I should say the listing listed as Webman, and there is a Webman character in the comics that's this inverted colored Spider-Man. So I'm assuming that's what this figure is going to be, and then a Hobgoblin figure. And again, these will all be on vintage card backs. Now these images here are just for reference. These are old Toy Biz figures here. These are not Marvel Legend figures. And then this is just an image from the comics of the Webman character. So I don't know, like with the Hobgoblin, how it's going to differ from the previous Hobgoblin that they did. We'll have to wait and see. Same thing with the Spider-Man. Now, one thing I do want to note with the Spider-Man. So I actually have some conflicting info on that Spider-Man figure. So, in JT Prime's listings, he gives actual product numbers for the figures. So these numbers here. So with this black costume Spider-Man, with the F0230, I have actually seen that listing for a different figure. Now it's older information, so maybe something changed, but I'm not 100% sure on this black costume Spider-Man. I can't believe they're not going to do a black costume Spider-Man, but just because I have seen some conflicting info on this one, that one I'm not 100% sure on. I mean, we'll treat all these as rumors as always until Hasbro officially confirms these, but just note with that black costume Spider-Man, I've seen some, as far as that product number goes, I've seen that number used for a different figure, and so I'm not entirely sure which one is going to be correct. So again, we'll have to wait and see. It's another Spider-Man retro figure. So, and if I can get more details, then I'll update you guys on that. But again, even if the product number I've seen is actually for the other figure I've seen, again, I can't believe they're not going to do black costume Spider-Man. But like I said, a little bit of conflict. That's why we do actually treat these as rumors until we get the official confirmation, because things can change, and sometimes they do, or we just, we're going by a name and the name is not 100% what we think. So but it definitely looks like, the Hobgoblin, I've, from multiple sources, I've confirmed, so that one is pretty legit. I'm pretty sure about. And then same thing with the Webman, which honestly would just be a repainted figure. I'm sure that Hasbro would do, so that's right up their alley. Michael, if DC Multiverse figures of the new Suicide Squad movie, I might get some. Well, there have been listings for Suicide Squad figures from McFarlane for Multiverse, just like there have been with the Snyderverse figures. So I think it's a pretty safe bet that there will be doing some. When we get to see them, probably won't be until later in the year, but I do believe McFarlane is going to be doing some Suicide Squad movie figures. Chris, I remember Soda Toys. I have their Toxic Avenger figure. Real nice, but not very posable. Yeah, well, the guy who actually started Soda Toys actually worked. He worked in makeup and design and stuff, and he actually worked on the second Toxic Crusader movie. So now I'm not going to go into detail because I don't want to give away spoilers from this week's WandaVision series, in case people who are tuning in haven't watched it yet. But I will tell you that I feel like we probably got our looks, and I did an article on Marvelous News, which you can go check out if you want more specifics. But I feel like in this week's episode that aired this past Friday, episode 8, I feel like we probably got our looks at the actual Vision and Scarlet Witch figures that are going to be in that Disney Plus wave. There've been a lot of, was it going to be the Halloween costumes or what have you? And my guess is we actually probably, this week's episode, and I'm sure next week's episode as well, will have the actual, and that is just a guess on my part. I mean, I know that the first wave of Disney Plus figures is going to have a Vision and Scarlet Witch, but I don't have any real idea on which versions. But after seeing this week's episode, I feel like what we saw in that episode will end up being what we get for action figures. Mike says, I'm sure a retro Rhino and Doctor Strange figure will come one day. Rhino's probably a safe bet, but I don't know about Doctor Strange. Lou, I do not have the Kickstarter spawn. I didn't buy the Kickstarter spawn, so I'm not getting one. Period. But I think from what I've heard, um, most people really haven't gotten their Kickstarter spawn because they got held up at the ports. I think Todd posted an update this week saying that he expected them to get through the ports here very soon, and people should start getting them very soon. But that's the holdup, is that they got held up. The inventory got held up on the ships out at port somewhere, and so um, probably because of COVID and stuff. So a lot of that stuff has been getting backed up. So that is why. And again, I don't think anybody has gotten their Spawn Kickstarter figures yet. But that's why. And like I said, McFarlane posted an update this week about that, I believe. And tomorrow is Marvel Monday, the first Monday of the month, and there will be an official Marvel Legend reveal tomorrow, probably between 12 and 1. So uh, it's something I've talked about before, so it'll be a confirmation um, of something I've talked about before. I don't know if I would call it super duper exciting, but I guess it depends on how much of a fan you are of the characters. But again, there will be Marvel Legend reveals, official ones, tomorrow, and of course, once it's officially announced, we'll have full details up on Marvelous News for you guys. What's up, Toy Chase? Will there ever be a Marvel Legends Mephisto? Danny asks. Well, technically, there's already been a Marvel Legend Mephisto. Toy Biz did one back in the day, but will Hasbro do one? I think it's certainly possible. I'll let you know after I watch next week's episode of WandaVision, but I think it's possible. Bean says Tide keeps sending out the emails. They'll get sent out eventually. I trust in McFarlane. It's but like these are supposed to come from Megalopolis. I mean, something the Megalopolis thing's a different situation, but there are definitely legitimate backups going on with a lot of these stuff coming in from these ports and stuff. So I mean, it's really not anything within McFarlane's control. So unfortunately, you've just got to wait. But it's not like McFarlane's ripping you guys off. It's not like he's not going to send as soon as they're available. He's going to get them out to you. So you just got to be patient. Unfortunately. Matthew, when are they going to show the Iron Man modular armor? Hopefully soon, but I'm still waiting to hear if there's going to be a live stream event in March for Marvel Legends. They indicated in the last live stream that April was going to be a pretty big month, but hopefully they'll at least do one live stream for Marvel in March. So I wouldn't be, since they've started to tease the Iron Man wave, I wouldn't be surprised if they do a live stream this month that they wouldn't show that possibly. Danny, will there be both a Marvel Legends Mephisto, both for the MCU and the comic books? Well, I mean, I don't know if there's even going to be a Mephisto in the MCU. If there is, if if there ends up being a Mephisto in the MCU, I think there's definitely a good chance that Hasbro would then do more, probably, possibly both comic and MCU versions, but at some point. Um, but we'll have to wait and see if he even shows up in the MCU. So and I have no idea whether he's going to or not. So I have my suspicions, but I have nothing specific. I mean, if by some remote chance he does actually show up, in next week's episode of WandaVision, which is the final episode of the season for that show, then it's possible, since I have no idea what the Build-A-Figure for the Disney Plus wave is going to be, it's possible that could end up being a Build-A-Figure for that wave. And if not the first wave, then it may be the second wave. But we'll just have to see if he actually even shows up in the show. And then, of course, if he shows up by some chance, what is he going to look like? Is he going to look like he does in the comic books? Or is he going to look totally different? Again, those are just questions I have no idea at this point. Keith, I have not heard anything about a new Marvel Legends Dracula, so nothing to share with you on that. I wouldn't, if I could see maybe them doing Dracula for I'm sure they're going to do a wave based on the Blade movie. So I don't have any information on that, but I could definitely see Dracula being a character that they stuck in there. But I don't have any info on Dracula for you at this time. Blade Runner, Disney be like, we can do a skull face Nazi, but we can't do the personification of the devil. Well, I mean, I don't think I've ever heard Hasbro say they can't do a Mephisto figure, so I think some people, just pull crap out of their ass saying, "Oh, well, Disney won't let them do Mephisto," but I've never heard anyone say anything to that like. And I mean, just based on my own theories of WandaVision, I still think there's a good possibility he might pop up there. So, Tom, I'm betting we're getting a comic book Doctor Strange soon since they're giving us Jumamu. Well, we've already gotten comic book Strange, a couple versions of him. I mean, it's certainly possible we could get another one, but Prophet says, I'm happy and sad that WandaVision has reached the finale. Well, it hasn't reached it yet. We've got one more week to go, but I mean, and then we've got a 2 week gap, and then we go straight into Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So I'll be more sad after we get through Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because then we are going to have a sizable gap between that and the Loki series in June. Of course, we should get Black Widow in May in some shape or form, so we'll have that to tide us over. Chino, I don't have any new information on the X-Men Marvel Legend wave, but yes, indications I've seen still indicate that it's a Age of Apocalypse. It's going to be a second Age of Apocalypse themed wave, but I have no specific details on what figures will be in that wave. Going back to the Fortnite news, I definitely think we're probably going to see at some point Fortnite themed Marvel figures. I don't know if technically we call them Marvel Legends, but with Hasbro doing Fortnite figures now, I think any character that they have properties for, Marvel, Star Wars, what have you, that have been in the Fortnite game, G.I. Joe, I think we're gonna start seeing figures, with those Fortnite themes. done. So I am definitely, even though, I mean, I'm not saying I've seen any information, but I definitely am expecting Hasbro to probably do Marvel Legend themed Marvel characters from the Fortnite game at some point, probably within the next year. I don't know technically when Hasbro. I mean, they've already done the Snake Eyes figure for Fortnite, so I don't know when they are going to start officially doing Fortnite figures. But take it easy, Prophet. Lewis, what do I think about the new AEW Series 3? Well, I don't follow AEW that closely. I mean, the figures from the images, the initial ones that they released, didn't look bad, but I'm not, it's not a line that I personally, and I've not really watched AEW wrestling that much. I used to watch wrestling all the time back in the day, but I have not been, it's been many years since I've been really into wrestling. Any rumors on the next Rider Series Marvel Legend figure? I have not heard anything on Rider figures. It seems like this year Hasbro's doing more in the way of deluxe figures than anything for the Rider series. Uh, I know the YouTuber Rectangular has mentioned something about Hawkeye's Sky Cycle in the works, but I've not seen anything to that. So I'm not saying that's wrong information. I'm just saying I've not seen anything to confirm that myself. So, but I've not heard anything about any new vehicles. Yeah, there was a rumor that had popped up last year about a Punisher war van, but that didn't seem to pan out. So I don't know if they've just kind of shifted their focus away from the vehicles. You know, a lot of those vehicles seem to collect dust. I mean, that Cosmic Ghost Rider has been sitting at my in the Squirrel Girl ones have been sitting at my targets for months and months. So I don't know how well those are selling. John, when do I think they'll announce the Infinity Saga subline? Well, they hinted that probably that wouldn't come until uh, April. So I think we've got not this month, but next month is probably when they're going to start officially announcing it. Action figure expert, Toy Biz. Yeah, I guess maybe you're right. Maybe it was Marvel Select. I guess Toy Biz did the Black Heart, which is Mephisto's son. But yeah, I guess it was the Marvel Select figure was the Mephisto figure. Yeah, because Toy Biz did Blackheart, which I mean, again, it's the Devil's son. Paul McFarlane. I'd love Hasbro to give us a Watcher figure. Yeah, though, if you can get your hands on the Diamond Select one, that is a really good figure. So it it'd be cool to see Hasbro do a Watcher figure, but I really if you can, I highly recommend that Diamond Select Toys Marvel Select Watcher figure. And it fits in nicely with the Marvel Legend. I mean, granted, the Watcher's one of those characters that changes sizes, but Asan, I wish Hasbro would do a Carmen Hodge figure. That would be I mean, it depends on what version of Hodge you're talking about. You know, they could certainly do a normal human-looking Hodge, or even with some of just some techno organic. But to do like a full-on Hodge when he was like in the whole monster techno organic thing, I mean, that would be huge. So I don't see them, and I don't see Hodge being a popular enough character that they would do a huge figure like that of him. So if we ever got a Hodge figure, I would expect him to be more human than monster. Lord Venger, did they really expect Squirrel Girl to fly off the shelves? I don't know. Redneck Trucker says, "Hey brother, hope your weekend was good. Same to you, man. Yeah, it wasn't a bad weekend. Nothing too exciting. It's rained all day today, and it rained some of yesterday, so it's been kind of a rainy weekend." I started watching this new series called For All Mankind on Apple TV. It's an Apple series. It's actually pretty good. Like the premise of the show is that it's about like the space race, and it's supposed to be taking place in the late 60s and 70s when we first walked on the moon and stuff. But the premise is that Russia beat America to the moon, and so that changed some things in history, and so it's kind of telling what a what if type story had Russia had beat the US to the moon first. So it's an interesting show. I haven't finished watching it, but that's what I've been kind of watching this weekend. Blake says the Diamond Select watch is going for $250. I haven't. Didn't they recently reissue that figure though? I mean, yeah, I know if you're trying to get like the original release, but I thought they've reissued that figure a couple of times now. Brock says we need Bucky, Marvel Legends, Bucky Barnes, Mandarin, and Classic Crimson Dynamo. Yeah, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we get a Classic Crimson Dynamo Build a Figure in the Iron Man wave. But Jose, what do you think about the MCU Blade movie being rated PG-13? Has it been officially announced it's PG-13? I know Feige did a interview where he said like the Deadpool movie was kind of the exception to the rule. I I think a PG-13 Blade movie can be good. I don't need tons of blood and gore for my movies to be able to watch them. So, uh, you know, Christino, no specific news on the Snyder Cut figure set. I saw that some Mezco Snyder Cut pop vinyl figures are going to be made available next week, and I'm hoping that means that Warner Brothers has now given companies the okay to start showing off their Snyder Cut stuff. So hopefully that means that Todd will maybe next week officially announce the figures, and I'm sure he'll do one of his videos and stuff. When he does actually announce it, I'm sure he'll do one of his videos and stuff. But I'm hoping maybe that'll come next week. I don't have it, I can't say that definitively, but just seeing that it looks like companies are starting to get the green light to officially announce their Snyder Cut stuff with the Funko. I'm hoping that means that also McFarlane can. Jerry says, "Hope Hasbro does Lockjaw." Yeah, though that the Mezco 112 collective Lockjaw is actually looks like a pretty good figure. I haven't gotten it yet, but um, if you can get your hands on that one, I think it'll go well with Marvel Legends. Hey Vic, thanks for watching, man, and being a subber. I appreciate it. Everett chimes in again, being excited for the Universal Classic monster figures from NECA. Tom thinks we're gonna get a select Crimson Dynamo before we get a Marvel Legend version. I'd be okay with a select one, but I don't know. I won't say it's impossible. I mean, we're getting the Titanium Man, the classic Titanium Man from Diamond Select Toys. So it's possible they could do Crimson Dynamo as well, but we'll have to see. I Dana is a big fan. Thanks, man. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Do I think McFarlane will be making more Witcher characters? Lord Wenger asks. I do. In fact, there's been some listings that have leaked out for some additional Witcher figures, and they're going to definitely be doing Witcher figures for the Netflix series. You know, they already teased the Henry Cavill version, so. But yes, I do think they're going to be doing more Witcher stuff. I don't remember what figures it was that had leaked out with the retail listings off the top of my head, but I did see some stuff for Witcher. Okay, I'm back. How about a Hulu Modoc? I could definitely not Marvel Legends, but I could definitely see Hasbro rolling out a kids-oriented type of action figure line based on that Modoc animated series. So I would not be surprised. Again, not Marvel Legends per se, but I definitely could see some action figures being made for that series. Neil, do you think we've seen the end of big reveal shows like San Diego and New York Comic Con at least for a while? I think this year, yes, but I think next year, and even possibly, I mean, I keep hearing anytime I turn the news on, it seems like you're getting different information. So I won't even say it's impossible that, something like New York Comic Con couldn't return this year. I guess it depends on how the vaccinations go and everything. But but definitely I think by next year things will be back in full swing. So no, I don't think we've seen the end of shows like San Diego and New York Comic Con. I don't. Yeah, this year definitely. I think they're very much in doubt, but next year I think they'll be back definitely. Caesar, the recent Falcon figure does not come with Red Wing. The Falcon, why? I don't know. Probably cost, but I don't know why they didn't include Red Wing with that Falcon figure. I I mean, I haven't read comics in a while, so I assume Falcon still has Red Wing, but Blake says Modoc, Modam, dual gender. Asan says hopefully Hasbro will give us classic Human Torch with the lines in his body when they do their retro line of Fantastic Four figures. I wouldn't be surprised. I still, again, I have no idea what specific figures are going to be in that retro Fantastic Four wave, but I would be very surprised if it didn't include members of the Fantastic Four, and that seems like a likely choice that they could go with. Brock, I think we may eventually get a Marvel Legend crowdfunding Fing Fang Foom or Galactus. I think Galactus is probably more likely than Fing Fang Foom. I mean, it depends how many we get, how many Haslab Marvel projects we get. But obviously, if they continued, but I think we probably would see Galactus before we would see Fing Fang Foom. Paul wants to see a new Mole Man. That's a possibility for the Fantastic Four retro wave. Lord Vengar, is the only way to get the new Quasar and Nova going to be Walgreens? Well, here in the United States, in Canada, it'll be sold at EB Games, and then there are overseas retailers that will carry it. But here in the US, yes, it's a Walgreens exclusive, so. John C. Am I interested in the Animal Warriors of the Kingdom 6-inch figures? I don't have any of them, but they look like nice figures. The guy who makes those figures was a sponsor for a little while on TNI, where he was promoting his Kickstarters for those. So they look like nice figures, but I don't have any in hand, so I can't speak to their quality or anything other than the pictures that I've seen. Mario, do I think we'll eventually get Marvel Legends for most of the Fox Studio movie characters? No. I mean, we might see a few more, but do I think we'll get most of them? No. Hey, Dana, would I say Captain Marvel is popular? I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess I don't know what your definition of popular is, but she's a I mean, she's a character that's used a lot, so I've got to assume that there are definitely people who like her. I assume you're talking about the Marvel version. Hey, Blake, appreciate it. I was waiting to see. I haven't. I had a thing set up for super chat donations, but it doesn't seem to be working. But as always, Blake, man, I really appreciate it. Oh, there it is. But I don't think you guys hear it. You can see the little thing that pops up on the screen, but you're supposed to hear Hulk smash, and I don't think you can hear that. And I haven't figured out why you can't hear it. But as always, man, much appreciated. Thousand Wolves, My Little Pony Transformer crossover bronies. They've already done Transformer crossover My Little Ponies. They've got the Optimus Prime one. Jerry says, Blake, your one-time donations more than all other streams combined. I think you're right, Jerry. Rujo, thank you, man. Much appreciated. I just I'll read your question. It's gonna I don't know why there's a delay for the thing popping up either. That's annoying. But anyway, I got my Transformers X-Men Blackbird. They're calling it Expanse. Can't say I like the name. Mine, I got it mail. Wait, there we go. I got the mailing notice for mine. It hasn't arrived yet, but yeah, I can't say I'm too I think that's a very good name for it. But hope you like it. I'm looking forward to getting mine. I'm sure they're gonna reissue it at some point in black. I would be very surprised if Hasbro doesn't reissue that in black down the road, but And again, thanks, guy, both of you for the super chat donations. I don't expect you guys to do super chat donations, but it's always nice when you do. And the new like it got kind of lost in the whole Mr. Potato Head news, but they also this past week during their investor day thing announced their first male pony. So now I guess the ponies can get together and make even smaller, littler ponies. Vic says, "What are my thoughts on the Transformers Kingdom Netflix July episodes?" Are you talking about the next season or the one that we just got? I didn't like the second season of the Transformer series as much as I liked the first season. I just didn't think it did much. It felt like really a whole lot didn't happen. And I also, my biggest complaint about that series is it's too dark. And I don't mean like the tone of the show, I mean the animation. I find it hard to make out, like, especially when you start getting a lot of the seekers and stuff on the screen. It's very hard for me to like make out the different characters because it's just like so dark. So I wish they would kind of lighten up the animation a little bit. And then, like I said, I didn't like the second season as much as the first season, but I'm looking forward to the next one. And then there's a new Transformers animated movie that's in the works that they kind of announced this week, even though I think word had leaked out or had come out beforehand. But they're doing a new Transformers animated feature film, which I'm definitely interested in hearing more about. So, Everett, I'm not sure if they can do more Freddy and Jason figures right now. There was a whole court battle thing that tied up a lot of those characters, so Paul, are we going to get Endgame Battle Thor? Yes, I've mentioned that before. We should definitely be getting Fat Warrior Thor from Avengers Endgame sometime this year. It should be part of that Infinity Saga series. The Krang Rebellion. Again, thanks, guys. Amazing content as always. Thank you. Much appreciated, man. Chris Allen, I feel bad about those who got ripped off by Megalopolis. Yeah, I mean, that whole thing's been a mess. And I mean, I I saw Shartimus put out a. Oh, there you go. There's your little intro. I'm gonna play with that. I'm gonna tweak that. I just haven't had time, but like, so it can do different things when different people donate different amounts. Again, I don't expect you guys to make super chat donations. It's kind of like the tip jar, but again, it's always much appreciated when you guys do. But anyway, going back to Megalopolis. So yeah, that thing's. I mean, that's been a mess playing out for the past year. And I saw Shartimus did a video where he gave like an email that people could uh, use to try and get their money refunded. And I don't know how or how responsive Megalopolis has been to that. I have been in recent weeks seeing more people get their refunds, so maybe they're finally trying to get things turned around. I don't know. But if you've tried contacting them or what have you, and you haven't gotten your money or your product or whatever, my recommendation is just contact your bank or whatever and dispute the charge through them, and they most likely will refund you your money. I I mean, they were a sponsor. They've been a sponsor of the sites before. I mean, it's been over a year since they were a sponsor of mine on the websites. But and I don't know, what happened there. So I don't know if they've deliberate, I can't sit here and say one way or the other that they were deliberately trying to rip people off. I mean, I think they've definitely made bad decisions, but at the same time, it's hard to see how they come back just because their reputation has gotten so badly tarnished from all the, and legitimately so. I don't think it's, I think there have been a large number of people that have had honest to God problems with either getting their product or getting their money refunded in the past year. So, but I don't, even if they got everybody's money refunded or the products shipped out, at this point, it's going to be hard to see people are willing to trust them again. Um, and it's, I'm hoping that, again, they do get they do get their shit straightened out. I don't wish ill will on anybody. Jonathan says we need 89 and 66 McFarlane figures. I assume you mean Batman. Yeah, it would. I would love to see McFarlane take on, especially the 89 Batman. The 66 Batman. I don't know. I mean, I've got enough versions of the 66. I guess I got to get enough versions of the 89 Batman too. But I still would be interested to see McFarlane's take on that. 89 Batman's one of my favorite versions of Batman. So I like I said earlier, I did not get the SH Figure Arts version just because it didn't end up looking that good to me. But I generally get most of when somebody does an 89 Batman version, I end up getting it. Chris, well, I don't blame you. And I would not recommend until they've demonstrated that they've gotten everybody's money refunded and everything. I wouldn't, I could not sit here in good faith and tell you should go shop from Megalopolis. I hope they get their stuff straightened out, and I hope they get everybody refunded. But I definitely could not recommend that you and would not recommend that you go and buy anything from them, um, until they've clearly demonstrated that they've gotten, the people who they still owe money to or owe product to, you've gotten that rectified. So, and as far as like the products, the figures that they're making, like, the Mad Balls and stuff, I mean, places like Big Bad Toy Store have been carrying those, knowing that there's a possibility that, they might not get their product, and that anyone who pre-orders like the Mad Balls or from them, they would have to return if Megalopolis does not deliver on those figures, then Big Bad Toy Store is going to take a loss. But you can I think it's safe to say if you pre-ordered, or if they ever end up doing I know I hear a lot of people wanting to know if the Battle Toads are going to come or not, and if they do, I wouldn't pre-order them directly through Megalopolis at this point. I would wait until and see if like a Big Bad Toy Store is going to carry them, and then pre-order them there. Because if Megalopolis doesn't deliver on the figures, you're not going to get the figures. Because they didn't get released. But you're going to have a much easier time and better chance of getting your money refunded, if you go through somebody like Big Bad Toy Store, at this point, in my view. So. But I do hope. I mean, they were good. I mean, I'll be honest. Back when they first started out, they seemed to have their act together. They were good sponsors, and I'm taking them at their word that they just got in over their head, and COVID really screwed them up, and that they are honestly trying to fix their issues. And I know they're having some legal issues with some other distributors and things like that. So it's definitely not looking great for them at this point, but I certainly don't wish them ill will, but I at the same time I definitely understand everyone's frustration and hope that they are able to essentially settle their debts with everybody. Chris Allen, yeah, I mean there documents supposedly flying around in the net about a lawsuit and stuff. So I'm not going to speak to things that I really don't know much about, but I've seen things on the like you probably about stuff like that. So Jerry, when is the flocked panther expected to arrive? I'm guessing within the next few months, but I don't have any. Mattel hasn't given any specific release dates. We got some updated images that hit the internet the other week. I think it was either this past week or the week before. But no indication of when it's going to be. If it will it go up for pre-order first, or will it just become available for sale? I don't know. Kyle, that's why I don't do pre-orders until they have the figures in stock, especially these days that everything everywhere is dry. I personally am not I don't like doing pre-orders. It's not that I'm worried about getting ripped off, but I don't like doing pre-orders. And I don't think businesses are really supposed to charge you. I'm not an expert on this, but it's always been my understanding that you're not supposed to get charged for a pre-order until it's ready to ship out. But I don't like, even with that, I don't like it because on my own end, especially when I start pre-ordering a lot of stuff, then it's like for instance, I had a number of things on pre-order and my credit card expired. I mean, I got a new one, but the credit card that I originally gave when I did these pre-orders had since expired by the time the items came in stock. So then I had to go back to all these different places and update my credit card information, or the order was going to get canceled and everything. It's just a pain in the ass. So I'm not a huge fan of pre-ordering stuff either. Um, though, if it's something that is going to be hard to get, then I am more likely to pre-order it because then I don't have to worry about hunting around for it. But I don't just pre-order like most like Marvel Legends stuff. I don't pre-order Marvel Legends stuff. I wait till it's out and then I buy it where it's available and stuff like that. Neil Hill says Dorkside charges up front, but I think it's only if you use PayPal. Yeah, if you use PayPal, you might get. I don't know. Again, it's a little bit out of my realm of knowledge. So, and I've never used Dorkside, so I can't really speak to them at all. Bean says Big Bad Toy Store is my go-to. That loot pile is the truth. Well, I'm very hesitant to like personally vouch for any sponsor. Like, but Big Bad Toy Store to me, I mean, they've been a sponsor of my website since I started them, so over 20 years. And, nobody's perfect, but Big Bad Toy Store, and, sometimes they're slow in getting stuff. You know, generally big box retailers get the stuff before they do and things like that. But I found them to be pretty solid overall. So again, I just because somebody advertises on my website doesn't mean that I'm personally vouching for them, But if I was going to vouch for any sponsor, Big Bad Toy Store is probably one that I would feel pretty confident in doing so, just because um, I've had such a long history with them. But and I mean, there's only, I mean, e-tailers that have specialized in action figures that have been around. I mean, there aren't that many that have been around as long as Big Bad Toy Store. Entertainment Earth has been around as long as Big Bad Toy Store, probably longer than Big Bad Toy Store. So, even though, I've heard people say they've had some issues with Entertainment Earth this past year, I still would say overall, and Entertainment Earth's not a sponsor, but I, would say they're probably fairly solid. You know, you might have to wait on something, but they're not going to be ripping you off, I don't think. And again, I can't speak to Dorkside. I've never used Dorkside. They've been around not as long as Big Bad or Entertainment Earth, but they've been around probably what, 5, 7 years, something like that. And of course, other news that Hasbro dropped this week is they're going to be expanding into international markets. Specifically, they mentioned the UK during their Investor Day thing. But so I'm not a huge fan of Hasbro Pulse, but I know some people are. So if you've been living in the UK and been wanting to get access, and of course, when it comes to exclusives and Hasbro Pulse is the only place you can get it from, then obviously that's a different story. But like really, like if a Haslab project, next Haslab project, those of you who live in the UK, you'll be able to buy directly from Hasbro Pulse as opposed to having to go through a third party vendor and stuff. Max Power says, I'll let you know a secret to your viewers. Dorkside doesn't charge you tax yet. If you were like me in California, that's a huge savings. I'm not saying you're wrong because, again, I've never used Dorkside, but I'd be curious to know how they're not charging taxes. But I've never, Chris says, the only place I prepay for pre orders is Super 7. I've never actually pre ordered anything from Super 7, but I mean, they're a toy manufacturer. So again, and I think they're well established enough that even if they're delayed getting you something, I don't think you have to worry about them ripping you off. There are some toy companies that just pop up overnight that I would be very hesitant without, ordering directly from, just because they're just an unknown quantity. So Bean says Dorkside also sells complete Build-A-Figures in case you don't want to buy the whole Marvel Legend wave. I have heard that about them, and that is kind of, I haven't seen too many people. I don't know how they do that, but that's actually kind of a cool thing. I don't know how much they charge though. I mean, is it a reasonable price that they charge? Everett, NECA's doing a new Jason figure. I think you're probably talking about the 1/4 scale one, which is one that had been planned for years. So I don't know if I would call that new. Neil says I rarely prepay. I hate being locked into any figure purchases. That's kind of my feeling. Though I mean, I know a lot of people will pre-order and then if they find the figure sooner someplace else, they'll cancel the pre-order, which I don't really like to do. But yeah, I kind of don't like again. I mean, if you pre-order everything, I mean, you'd have. I mean, maybe you're more organized than I am, but I would lose track of all the stuff I had pre-order. You know, especially stuff that like you pre-order like almost a year in advance, and it's like, oh yeah, I forgot I even had that on pre-order. I mean, I'd be like buying stuff. Oh, and then it would another one would show up in the mail and be, oh damn, I've pre-ordered that. I forgot. All right, well, we're coming up on about the 2 hour mark, so I think we're going to call it a wrap for tonight. But again, don't forget tomorrow, Monday, is Marvel Monday, the first Monday of the month, and there will be a Marvel Legend reveal. I forget if it's going to be revealed at noon or 1. They keep switching them, so, but around that time frame, Eastern time. And you know, to go up for pre-order at pretty much every place online. We'll have coverage of it on Marvelous News. I assume it's not going to leak out early. Hasbro seems to have cracked down on the places that were leaking images early for that stuff, so I don't expect it to leak out early. But definitely tomorrow, official Marvel Legend reveal coming, and then I think there might be a Transformer reveal coming later in the week, if I remember off the top of my head. And I don't know when the next or what the next live stream is going to be as far as from Hasbro. So I haven't. I last time I checked, a lot of people were asking if a GI Joe live stream was going to be coming, and I did check on that, and it didn't look like there was going to be a GI Joe live stream coming anytime soon. But I don't know if there'll be something this coming Friday. I'll have to check and see if I can find anything out. But definitely tomorrow, Marvel Legend reveal, and then hopefully maybe McFarlane will finally officially announce those Snyder Cut Justice League figures this week. I'm keeping my fingers crossed on that, and who knows what else we'll see this week. But definitely expect a couple regular news videos. I don't know if I'm gonna get I don't. I may not do a live stream this in midweek this week. I've got a dentist appointment this week, so I'll have to see how that goes. And but we'll definitely do another live stream next week, next Sunday. Um, you guys seem to tune into the Sunday ones more than the midweek ones. And but as always, guys, thanks for everyone who did a super chat donation, Blake and everyone else, much appreciated. Thanks for everyone who tuned in tonight, always appreciated. And as always, stay safe out there. And gotta hit my little subscribe button. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Um, and like I said, stay safe out there, guys. And until next time, I'll catch you.
Hey, thanks for watching today's video, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification so alerted every time I upload a new video. And be sure to head over to the Toy News International and Marvelous News message boards communities. It's a great place to talk toys and win cool contests like $100 store credits to Big Bad Toy Store. And remember, action figures are great.